Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United pod. I'm your host, TC, and here's my co-host, Scott. Hi, Scott. How are you getting on with all this upheaval?
Oh, it's a bit mad time, isn't it? But
Really mad.
Sorry to everyone that we haven't been out on the airwaves, but a few technical glitches here and there, and yeah, it's been rough, hasn't it?
It's been a nightmare all round. It's been a nightmare with the technical issues. I apologise as well for that. We've been trying to get shows out. We actually recorded a whole show, and then we weren't able to get it up. It's a cracking show as well, wasn't it, Scott?
Probably one of the best.
Yeah. Absolute belter. Yeah. And I think we predicted the lineup almost exactly for the City game, barring one. But we would say that anyway, wouldn't we?
I tell you, the main shame of it is for like 2 weeks now, I've been trying to thank you for writing Jurgen Klopp some letters, masquerading yourself as an 8-year-old boy. I just wanted to thank you for that, and hopefully that isn't the catalyst for these podcasts going down, but just wanted to put it out there.
Thank you very much, Scott.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Under my little disguise, Dara, everyone's hero at the moment, and looking like the Scousers might not win a title after all. But anyway, we're back, and today's show, we wax lyrical about United's stunning Derby Day win, the 5-0 spanking of LASK, and pick the bones out of the latest goings-on, with all football suspended now. But first, Scott, let's reminisce on what a really, really great day at Old Trafford. A City put to the sword, 2-0 victors. Magic.
What we worried about. Big game team, aren't we?
We are, and we discussed on the pod before that, look, we had gone on a great run, 9 undefeated before the City game. And we were talking, is this, before we were struggling against the smaller teams and coming alive against the big teams, and we were just wondering whether we were going to swap it round and drop the ball against City. But we weren't the one dropping the ball, were we? It was someone else.
Well, I think there was a little bit of fear involved because, let's be honest, a couple months ago we had a great turnaround in our form and we're playing great and came up against City at home in the Carabao Cup semi-final and got completely dismantled. And I think that, class is permanent, form is temporary kind of argument, that there was always in the back of our mind that no matter how well we were playing going into the City game, there was still a chance we could get run over.
Yeah. But look, we started strongly. I mean, the first thing that sprung to my attention was on the 9th minute when Martial was winning a blooming defensive header under all sorts of... I was thinking, what is going on? Has Bruno had a word?
Yeah, it's funny how Bruno's just been inspiring the whole team to really pull the finger out, and it's wonderful to see.
Yeah, he really has. And people talk about say Paul Pogba defenders will pull out the old line that he hasn't had the team around him and blah, blah, blah. Great players make other great players play, or even normal players play better. And Bruno has highlighted that in a way that we can only dream of before he arrived.
Yeah, I think so. But I think on sorry to interrupt, but I think on the opposite side of the fence, that great players with the wrong attitude can get fed up by not being surrounded by great players. And I think maybe Paul Pogba falls into that category.
Yeah, but Bruno has come into the same team, hasn't he? He's come into the same team and he's lifted the players around him rather than reprimanded the players around him and but you never know. We don't know what's going to happen with that situation anyway. Maybe Bruno can push Paul Pogba into line as well.
That's what the hope is, right?
You never know. Look, David De Gea's form has taken an upturn again. Raheem Sterling had a great chance. You got to say another super stop from Dave?
Yeah, it seems it's just feast or famine with him, isn't it? It's either howler or a spectacular save.
Yeah, and we do have Dean Henderson waiting in the wings. He is still performing fantastically for Sheffield United. He was before everything stopped. Did you see his birthday post?
I did.
Henderson?
I did. In the old blue shirt.
Warmed your heart.
I remember I had that shirt as well, and everyone at school used to rib me about it, but I love that blue shirt for some reason.
Who did you have on the back?
I didn't have a name on the back, funnily enough. No.
It was a nice shirt, that one, actually.
It was a good one.
It's sort of 90 special.
Problem was that I think we got beaten away at Sunderland in it, and I think bad results always taint good shirts.
Scott, I whipped out my blue and white striped shirt.
Oh, the Tesco bag.
No, the one from the Sunderland game that we don't want to talk about. And whenever I whip that shirt out, I remember that blooming dastardly day. So I might have to get rid of that.
What's funny is Saturday morning, 7 a.m. when the Premier League starts over here. They obviously didn't have any games to show this weekend, but as a habit, I'm already up, and so I turned on. They had a Premier League special, 2-hour special. And I was like, oh, this is great. A great little substitute for the game. And it was a 2-hour special on The Noisy Neighbours about how City won the title in 2012. And it was just awful, wasn't it?
When it rains, it pours. Just when you just when you think,
yeah.
Honestly, Scott,
There's a silver lining to no football this morning, and it was. But anyway, so I did have to watch a little bit, and that blue striped shirt did come up, obviously.
Yeah, it is a nice shirt, but just horrible memories. It was weird, wasn't it? No sport at all at the weekend.
Strange.
I was thinking, God, there must be some people tearing their hair out because a lot of guys and girls rely on the sport to sort of pick them up in bad times, and then when that goes as well, it really is strange stuff, I must say.
Well, it's funny, in America, there's at least 2 sports going on at one time, so there's pretty much sports every night, whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey, or American football, and it's just strange that there's absolutely nothing, and they've still got these daily sports center and all these daily shows, and they don't have anything to talk about. Yeah. It's just regurgitating news, and it's weird, isn't it?
It's mental. I mean, the only thing that's just about carrying on is the mixed martial arts, the UFC. So we are literally back to the days of human cockfighting being the only source of entertainment. It's incredible, absolutely unbelievable stuff.
I couldn't believe they cancelled the golf. I mean, if you can't walk around a golf course with one other person, I don't know what you can do.
I know, Scott. But anyway, the great thing is we had a couple of superb victories before it all shut down. Just after De Gea's save in the City game, Maguire got skinned, didn't he, by Aguero, and Matic came across covering. You've got to say Matic is coming to some superb form now as well.
He has. I saw a stat that the 14 games he's played, we've kept clean sheet in 10 of them, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Another guy who's been on great form, Anthony Martial, just warming up on the 27th minute when he, lovely little run in from the left, and then on the 30th minute, free kick out on the left again. Bruno scoop, Aguero and Gundogan all over the shop. Martial, decent strike, you must say, bouncing just in front of Ederson. Pants around the ankle stuff for Ederson, wasn't
it? Yeah, and you got to say that was definitely a training ground routine, right? That those two had definitely been working on that. You see that there's that one angle that they're sort of looking at each other from the corner of their eye, and that's something that Bruno's brought, right? That he's obviously said, listen, I'm pretty good at these free kicks, and I'll be able to dink the ball over and just be able to get on the end of it. And just his set piece delivery from corners or free kicks has been a source of a lot of goals recently for us. And I know you were tearing your hair out for months and months and years about how poor our set piece delivery has been. So I'm really glad that he's at least adding that feather to his cap too.
Yeah, I know you like to have a jab at me for some of my predictions, but I did predict when Bruno came in that we'll be starting to get some set-piece goals. And I also said Igalo would take the ball by the horns as well. So maybe I'm improving my stuff, eh?
Yeah, it's funny that those are 2 things you can't put money on, right? I think it's the second that you start putting money on is when everything goes out the window. You're good with your general predictions. You're fantastic with them. I'll give you praise for that. But the second you're like, I'll bet you $5 that Igalo has a great start, he would have, barn door kind of stuff.
But yeah, it was. You know what Bruno's doing is he's just one of those players who's got instinct, isn't he? He's one of those players who just feels the game. He just sees stuff other people don't see. He's got that imagination. He's got the ability to say. He's even said the other day in an interview that I try things, and I know some people who are not on the field, i.e. the coaching staff, say you shouldn't have done that, but I'm still going to do it again because that's the kind of player I am. And that's what we've needed. We've needed someone who can create out of nothing. That magical player. United have been built on that. Players who, your Cantona's, your Ronaldo's, who just George Best, pull something out of nothing. And now, finally, after a long time, we've got someone like that again, haven't we?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It sort of reminds me a bit of Scholesy, that he just seems head and shoulders intellectually above everyone else. It's just fantastic that he's on our team. Can you imagine if he had ended up at Spurs or ended up at one of these, that he just starts shining, winning the Premier League Player of the Month in his first month?
Just brilliant.
I'm just so glad we got him.
Yeah, you're right. And we almost dropped the ball, didn't we? We allowed the summer to close without getting him in. He was obviously available, but look, let's not think about that now. He had a header just after the goal from Brandon Williams' cross. Another guy who's been playing great recently, just behind Bruno. You can't really blame him for that one, I don't think. Just before half-time, I mean, Mike Dean having a laugh as always. Otamendi booted Fred inside the box, and Fred got a yellow card for it.
Unbelievable. It reminded me a couple of weeks ago, he got booked for handball and it hit his knee. For someone who's so religious, he's having some terrible luck at the moment, isn't he?
He really does, doesn't he? He does seem to, but he always smiles it off with a couple of swear words with it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, in at half-time up, and just after half-time, Aguero had that goal, fired at home. Flag went straight up for offside. Hearts and mouth stuff, though.
Oh my goodness! And because De Gea had stopped as well, right? If they had allowed that, and again, it's millimeter kind of stuff, it would have been horrific. Because again, it just looked like everyone had stopped. And in this day and age, you got to play it out and let it come back afterwards. It was, you're right, absolute heart and mouth.
With VAR, you're right. De Gea really should have carried on there because the whistle did go after it went into the net, and that could have been an absolute disaster. Just a minute later, it was almost another disaster for Edison, the clown between in the goal for City. He let the ball go under his foot, and Martial. I have to say, Martial's been brilliant recently, but if Martial was a little bit more animalistic about chasing that ball down, he
Yeah,
got a touch on
he
it
did.
before Edison
Yeah.
cleared it. He could have scored there.
Listen, you can't fault him for his effort given how hard he hit the post afterwards. But a little bit more anticipation or a little bit more desire, maybe that would have been 2-0 there.
You really should have been.
Mhm.
70th minute, Wan-Bissaka, who you've got to say is really adding a few strings to his bows recently. Lovely ball down the wing. Danny James through. Really should have found Bruno in the middle, shouldn't he?
Can't believe he didn't.
Oh,
It was the
God.
second time that Bruno hadn't been picked out, and it had the hallmarks of a game that we didn't put away, left it at 1-0, and they would have equalised or whatever. These chances that we weren't putting away were really worrying me in the second half.
Well, yeah, it almost happened 5 minutes later when
Yeah,
Jesus found a bit of space and De Gea again. Yeah, again, you have to say a really, really smart save.
yeah. Just saves his best for City, it seems.
Yeah, and then, well, obviously nervy stuff. Bruno gave Guardiola the older shush when Guardiola tried to play silly buggers with him with the ball. He's since said that, look, I respect Guardiola for what he's done in the game, but in that moment he didn't respect me, so I don't respect him back, which I thought was spot on from Bruno again.
Yeah, what an easy way to make millions of fans adore you. Yeah.
Yeah, and singing your own song in interviews and the rest of it, eh? Just brilliant stuff. But then the moment of the match, you have to say, on the 96th, oh God, where did all that injury time come from? We were biting our nails, but then Edison put the cherry on top of the cake, passed it from his hand over to Scotty McTominay. Really, really good finish from Scott, bending it around Edison into an empty net. Old Trafford went wild, wild, wild.
As did we all. Didn't have to be in Old Trafford to go wild. I went absolutely bananas. And you got to say that the hold-up play from Ighalo to give it to Fred over there on the left was fantastic and exactly the kind of play we need from a centre forward when we're winning the game and we just need to hold the ball up.
Superb point, Scott. It was
Hmm.
really, really good play. And Agala has added that to us. He's a great man
Yeah,
to bring on to do those things and to start the game as well. It's a shame the ball wasn't better there. That we could have been through already there.
yeah. But you know what? No one went crazier inside Old Trafford than Ighalo. So that was good to see as well.
It really was. And so 2-0 winners, the first league double over City for a decade. Can you believe that?
Crazy, crazy.
Dear me. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, of
Ollie said that'll make Sir Alex proud, so he still looks up to him, obviously.
course he does.
And you have to say, Martial and Bruno chemistry stood out in that game. It was superb stuff.
Yeah, it was just a fantastic display all round. Maguire was unbelievable. It seemed he was everywhere back there.
Absolutely superb.
That there was a good 20, 30 minutes in the second half that it was squeaky bum time, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. And then with the extra time added on, you thought, oh
Yeah,
no, isn't we're not
this is
we're not
it.
going to
Yeah,
get done here.
yeah,
What did you make of the lineup with three at the back again with that lopsided back three with Luke Shaw again? You have to say playing very well. Brandon Williams on the left, Wan-Bissaka on the right, Fred and Matic holding, and then Bruno just in front, and James and Martial running the lines up front. What do you make of the lineup? Ollie got spot on. You have to say tactically as well.
yeah. I like it. It seems like that is his recipe to beat not just City but bigger teams or to play in the bigger games. And the
Hmm.
more we play with it, the more fluid we seem. The more when Luke Shaw wants to come forward and Brandon Williams tucks in and vice versa. It just seems like it works.
Yeah, it does obviously help with Bruno doing two or three men's jobs in the
Yeah,
middle there.
yeah, it does.
But I have to tip my cap to Luke Shaw as well because we were pretty critical of him at times this season. Him, like a number of other players in the team who have been criticised by others, it really stepped up and has been really stepping up in recent weeks.
He has been, and he's on a list of a few players that have stepped up.
Yeah, so obviously Victor Lindelof started against City as well and dealt with all threats pretty well too. But Eric Bailly being back around has obviously given him. Well, he has to perform because now Eric Bailly is just waiting to take his place, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. I think just that Maguire has increased the standard of defending.
Yeah.
And it's sort of similar to how Chris Smalling was fantastic when he played with either Rio or Vidic. Maguire's having the same sort of influence on Bailly or Lindelof.
It's a superb point. And another person we have to say, Wan-Bissaka looking after Sterling like he always does.
So I read another stat this week that said that Wan-Bissaka has attempted as many tackles in the Premier League as Alexander-Arnold and Reece James, the Chelsea right back,
Yeah.
which is 118 attempted, but he's completed 31 more than the two of them combined, which is ridiculous.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Another player we have to flag up was the second goal scorer, Scotty McTominay. He's come back looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he is just the heartbeat of us fans at times, isn't he?
Yeah, and just shows what the desire to make United succeed brings to you as a player. And we're seeing that in Ighalo as well, that here's a striker who actually is dying to score goals for United, not just to score goals to increase his pay packet.
Yeah, you're right. And that's another thing Ollie has flagged up. Ollie has been saying that we need players with the right attitude in. We've had Ighalo come in. We've had Bruno come in with the right attitude. And again, Ollie is spot on with that. Of course, you have to have the quality with it. You have to have the quality with it. But like we mentioned earlier, we've got Dean Henderson waiting in the wings as well as a long-term goalkeeper who's got United running through his blood as well. There are some signs here that we are going in the right direction. Well, we were going in the right direction before this mayhem. One thing though, Scott, is City did dominate possession again, a habit that we've mentioned a number of times this season, that when we lack the lion's share of possession, normally we get better results. 72-28 in favour of City.
So they had 7 players who touched the ball more than the player who touched the ball the most for us, which I found to be pretty outrageous.
Yeah, but 12 shots to 7 in our favour, 6 on target to 4 in their favour. They did have 11 corners to our 2.
Felt like they had 40. Yeah. It was unbelievable. That and the Everton game before, it just felt like second half they just. But the fact that we haven't conceded haven't conceded a goal from a corner out of those 2 games that we probably conceded 35 corners was ridiculous.
Yeah, and lucky we haven't got Bruno taking corners against us. Otherwise, we'd be blooming getting spanked. Another point Ollie did flag up after the game is he said that the two goals we had conceded in the 10 games unbeaten one was the ball rolling, and the second one was De Gea chucking one in against Everton. So, I know Ollie sometimes says some mad stuff in his press conferences that winds you up, but that was a fair point. I thought it's not like we haven't been all over the place at all. We've been defending really, really well.
No, he does talk some sense when he has something to talk about. I think that the frustrating thing was that he was sort of making excuses for poor performance that just weren't logical.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's been a great time for Ollie as well, just before the break. Before we move on to the last game, Scott, got a man of the match for me?
Bruno Fernandes, obviously, again. Ran the show, didn't he?
He's got enough champagne to last him through the quarantine period, I'm sure, eh? Dear me. Collecting bottles like they're going out of fashion. He's just different gravy and superb. Yeah. But there were so many players you could have put a case forward for. Like you said, Maguire was absolutely superb as well. And you have to say, skippering the team very, very well as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, since he started captaining the team, we've had more clean sheets than goals conceded.
And you have to say again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when the times are rough, we flag it up. When the times are going good, we'll flag it up too. Really, really good decision in hindsight to give it to Harry Maguire. Seemed a bit premature at the time, but he knows more of what's going on inside that dressing room, the characters inside that dressing room. So another great decision.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think this whole upturn in form has coincided with Mick Phelan putting some shorts back on. Let's be honest. Took him 3 months to put a pair of shorts on.
And he puts them on in midwinter.
Yeah, why are you there, Mick? Come on.
And the other thing I have to say with Maguire is that he plays pretty much every minute as well, which is what you want from a captain, which is superb. Let's get stuck into the last game.
Yeah.
So last 0, United 5 in an empty stadium, the Linzer Stadium. Oh, it was really, really eerie stuff, wasn't it, Scott?
It was. But at least there was one United fan giving it the large one. I don't know if he was inside or outside the stadium, but I could hear him. Fair play to him.
Yeah, we started with Romero in goal, Brandon Williams on the right back, Bailly, Maguire and Shaw, McTominay, Fred, Bruno, Mata on the right, Danny James, and then Odion Igalo starting up front, running the line. Look, I must say, at the top of it, Brandon Williams on the right. That's another nice option, isn't it?
It is. I was very interested to see how he would play, but he did fantastic. He's predominantly right-footed, so it works better for him.
He is. I mean, we have previously compared him very lightly to Dennis Irwin, and you remember Dennis Irwin used to fill in on the right quite often, actually, back in the day. No better place to start than that absolutely superb goal from Odion Igalo. Bruno again scooping it in. What was it? 1 touch, 2 touch on the volley, and then an absolute blaster with his left top corner crossbar and in.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just you, but my feed wasn't the clearest, so it actually looked like the defender had got a touch in there the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
It was only the replay that I realised that he was just juggling it himself and then smashed it in the top corner. Yeah, what a finish. Unbelievable.
And I have to say that having no fans in the stadium made it extra nice because you could hear the crunch of the crossbar. It was delightful. Crunch! Oh, it was unbelievable.
And just the shock of everyone and the surprise of everyone. It was, what a goal.
Really was, Scott. As we say, it was such a bizarre game with no fans. It really does make a difference, doesn't it? But second half, Danny James put away, cutting in and then hitting it near post. It's something that Rooney did a lot back in the day. It's a nice thing to add because he very often goes open side, doesn't he, Danny James? And it's kind of a bit predictable normally.
He is, and it's a very important goal for him. He had a fantastic first 4 games, scored 3 goals and hasn't scored since. He was going through a really tough time when he signed. Let's not forget that. And, I know in his interview afterwards, he sort of added to the fact that he adds a lot more than goals to the team, which I do agree with.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if he could chip in with a few more goals this season. I don't know if we're going to be playing anymore this season, but he's the kind of player who's definitely, in the positions he plays and the advanced positions he finds himself, should be hitting double digits for a season.
Yeah, he should. But we did say at the start of the season we were relying on him too much. We shouldn't have been playing him so much. We ran him into the ground, I think. But I think he's got a point. I always say that Danny James, having him on the field, having that pace, having the way he stretches defences, even when he's not playing so well, he still brings something to the team. Now, there's some players, when they're not playing well, pretty much bring nothing to the table. Whereas with James, I do feel that whenever he's on the field, even if he's making mistakes, blowing chances, maybe not passing when he should pass and shooting when he shouldn't, still he brings something positive to the team, even off form.
No, you're absolutely right. He adds the fear factor to the other team and he stretches the team. And he also does a lot of tracking back and does a lot of pressing from the front.
When you're harassing people at that pace, it's got to pressure defenders. You're not expecting someone to be on you so quickly, and then before you know it, you've got someone right on you. Fair play to Danny James, and he was pulled off on the 71st minute for Tahith Chong. Tahith Chong signing a new contract, which was a bit of a surprise. We thought he might be on his way out, Scott.
I was pretty shocked by it, to be honest with you, but very pleasantly shocked. And now it's time for him to knuckle down. And if you want to show your commitment, you're going to get in the team more. He's to be given game time a couple of days after signing his contract was probably a big sign for other players as well.
Yeah, a big fillip for him. And then Bruno was pulled off on the 78th, presumably saving him for the Spurs match, which we were going to spank Mourinho and Spurs at the weekend. Unfortunately, we should have left him on to the end, so we could have had 12 more minutes of him because we're not going to see him for a while. But Pereira came on for Bruno, and then Juan Mata finished delightfully, racing away with his little legs. Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, of course I did. Loved it. What a ball as well to put through to him. What a ball.
And then on the 85th minute, Odion Igalo, replaced by Mason Greenwood. Only took him 6 minutes this time, didn't it, Scott?
What are you worried about?
Both posts and in.
Another FIFA finish. Ridiculous.
It was superb. He really is something special, isn't he? That kid?
He is. And, I was worried that Igalo was going to take away his minutes, but if anything, he's taken a bit of pressure off his shoulders and allowed him to play with a bit more freedom. And hopefully we get to see the best of him. I had him earmarked to sneak into the England squad for the Euros, but obviously that's not going to happen either.
Yeah, late bolter. Yeah, that's a good call, Scott.
Yeah.
And 2 minutes late, you have to say Schlager, the LASK keeper, all over the shop. But Pereira grabbing a rare goal these days from long range.
Yeah, shoot on sight when he's chucking them in like he is. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Good to see, because I think Pereira's got it in him to actually be a really good squad player for us. He can either go down the road of Bruno and really succeed and really become a fantastic player, or he can go down a different road of not committing himself to his career and to the club and probably ending up somewhere like Burnley or Villa or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think all the great United teams of the past have had players who had their heart in the right place and worked double hard when they were on the field. They weren't first choice, but when they stepped in, they did a job. And he can be one of those. He can be one of those. It's just like you say, it's the application. It's whether he keeps up this application. Because now, look, the place is not up for grabs anymore. Bruno's taken that spot, but again, it might have taken a bit of pressure off Andreas as well. So hopefully, he does seem to have a good attitude at the moment. So hopefully more of that. And well, it was great that we got to see that match, Scott, because in the day I was hearing rumours that all Champions League and Europa League matches were going to be suspended. And luckily, we got a nice 5-0 to say goodbye before on the Friday. That they did do exactly that. Look, the stats, 44%, 56% possession for us, so just marginally more. But it's funny, isn't it? You would expect us to have a bit more possession against a team like that, but we do play better when we have periods of time when we don't have the ball. 22 shots to 9 in our favour, 10 shots on target to 0, 5 corners to 4 in our favour as well. So a really nice send-off, Scott.
Yeah, it was great to see.
It was indeed, and like I said, we were all ready to spank Spurs at the weekend, but now we're in a position where all football is suspended. The Premier League is now suspended until the 3rd of April. We're not going to see it on the 4th of April, are we, Scott?
No chance. No chance.
What do you think is going to happen? I know that you haven't got a crystal ball, and it's the question on everyone's lips, not just in terms of football, in terms of the world and how things are at the moment. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because obviously all United fans want the season to be null and voided because then Liverpool wouldn't win anything.
30 more years, please.
There are arguments that obviously they're 25 points ahead, that it would be completely unfair to do that, and that we should just essentially give it to them. And
you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
Yeah, because
until you've won it, you haven't won it.
Then what do you do with relegation? Villa are in the relegation zone, but they got a game in hand. If they were to win that game in hand, they would come out the relegation zone. Same with Sheffield United. They're 2 points behind us, but have a game in hand. If they were to win that, they would get into the Champions League spots. If City are still banned, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting, isn't it? I think the only way that they're going to be able to do it is by cancelling it, because there's just too many lawsuits otherwise.
And also, you have to say that if you might have played a stronger level of team as well. There's still games to go. If you've played, for instance, City, Liverpool, United, and you've still got relegation fodder to play, that's why the whole season is a fair reflection of a team season, because you play everybody home and away. That's why we say that you are the winners over a whole season. So,
no, is it fair that, say, we got to play Spurs next, that chances are that Harry Kane and Heung-min Son are going to be fit?
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? Same we could say about Pogba and about Rashford. But I remember a few years ago, we were supposed to play Chelsea away in November, and they cancelled it for some reason. I can't remember why they cancelled it, and it got postponed until January.
Yeah.
We ended up playing that game and losing 2-0, and David Luiz scored. Now, David Luiz wasn't playing for them in November.
He was signed in January, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he scored the winner just added salt to the wound. And
yeah,
I don't know. I think that there's going to be a lot of bitter people because of the fact they're 25 points ahead. I think if they were only 5 points ahead, that this wouldn't be such a huge dilemma.
Yeah,
and they'd say, well, you know what, we had to cancel it during the war. We'll have to cancel it now.
Well, yeah, during the war, there was, I think, whoever was going to win the title. Was it Burnley? Were they 2 points away from winning the title when it got null and voided? They didn't give them the title.
Well, the season got cancelled in September, so it's hard to say that they were going to win. It might have been the First World War.
Yes, I think so. But unless the games are played, I don't think, because like you say, there's relegation. Leeds might be getting done by this as well. They're due to be coming up. Although I do like playing Leeds, I must say. I hate it and I love it. I love having the rivalry. I hate them, but it would be an absolute laugh for them not to get promoted and Liverpool not to win the title after the season they've had, because both teams have played very well, you have to say.
Yeah, but also at the same token, it would kind of be annoying for us because the chances are we were going to go ahead and win most of our remaining games and come fourth. And if City's appeal this summer, but firstly, if UEFA have this much going on, the chance of City lodging and winning an appeal is probably pretty low, so that ban might stand. But if it was to get cancelled now, it would be so unfair for them, but we'd lap it up, wouldn't we?
We would lap it up, absolutely we would. And you know what? If the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be lapping it up too. Yeah. Of course, that's the way rivalry goes. But yeah, the other thing is that we are on a fantastic run of form. It does seem like we're going in the right direction, and who knows what's going to happen after a couple of weeks or 2 months or 3 months, 4 months. You don't know what kind of state players will be in, squads will be in, mentalities will be. It's a really, really strange time for the world in general.
Not to mention contracts are running out June 30th. So what are they going to do? Allow them to be extended 1 month? And, I think that there's, 9 games left, some 10 games left that, again, the only reason they're having such difficulty calling this is because the virus hasn't anywhere near peaked in England.
No.
And as soon as they start getting numbers like what Italy or what Germany are showing out, then it's going to be a no-brainer to cancel it. But I think it just sucks for them because they're 25 points ahead. They only need 5 more points to win it.
Yeah, like you say, Scott. I mean, we're just touching on it. There's so many more layers to it. Like you just said, like contracts, and then you if you're giving one team the title, then where do you draw the line? If someone's ahead, they're ahead. If they're not ahead, they're not ahead. It doesn't matter how many points. You can't start saying, okay, well, if you said, if they're 10 points clear, they say, okay, well, what if they were 9 points clear? And then it makes the 10 points clear argument seem stupid as well. It's such a tricky one. It's something we've never seen in obviously our lives, and it's just such a unique situation. We don't even know when people will be allowed to freely travel again, let alone the football. I mean, I don't know whether the closed door thing should have been explored a little bit more before they started closing it down. But I suppose when you've got your Arsenal manager getting it, you've got Chelsea players getting it, Leicester players getting tested, and more teams by the day, I guess it seems like the right decision now. But once you've opened that can of worms or closed it, supposedly, it's hard to know when to reopen it again.
Yeah, it is. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. And who knows, this could last a year. There could be no football for a long time. And not just that, people are dying. Like it's not really a question of, we missed something to watch on a Saturday, or people are dying, and it's a serious thing. And until we can even find a cure for it, we can't expose people to any. I mean, the Prime Minister of England, Boris Johnson's just imposed a 12-week ban for people over 70. That's 3 months they're not allowed to go out.
And you think of that's including Sir Alex Ferguson and Bobby Charlton.
Oh, 100%. And not just that, but they're now, America, in some states, they're banning public gatherings over 50 people. Now, there are over 50 people in the stadium, even if there aren't fans.
I know.
It's crazy. So who really knows what's going to happen? I tell you what, if they do award Liverpool the title, though, and they say, you know what, you're 25 points ahead, you're going to win it, there will have to be an asterisk
of course they will.
on history.
Of course they will.
And maybe they're going to be 18 and a half. They're certainly not going to be 19.
If you see anyone walking around in Audley Edge with an Eric Cantona mask on, then you know it's probably Sir Alex. I mean, one thing UEFA are talking about is having a mini tournament to decide the Champions League and the Europa League in Baku and Istanbul, and talking about doing it over maybe a 2 or 3 week period. So all the teams go there and you play the game just like a Euros or a World Cup. So you'd play one game. They're talking about one-legged ties. So you'd have a one-legged tie, and then 3 days later play the next one, get to the semis and the final, and get it done that way, which is, I guess, one solution rather than calling it all off. Would you be a fan of that, Scott?
No, I wouldn't. I think it's ridiculous. I think you're still essentially exposing players and everyone associated to the club that's going to have to go to these tournaments. You're still exposing them to the virus, and they're the most important thing about the club, right?
Yep.
It's like you're going to ban fans from supporting the club, but you're not going to ban or restrict the players from play. It seems like they're trying to figure out how they can possibly recover. I think that there were 92 Premier League games left. God knows how much money they're going to lose. But it seems like they're just trying to make up as much money as they possibly can. And as soon as they get figured out that, hang on, people are dying, it's not about making money, then a much more serious and obvious decision is going to have to be made when they're like, you know what? This is a lot more important. I still think they're on the fence whether, is this more important than football? Is this more important than the hundreds of millions of pounds that we're probably going to have to give back in TV rights?
Yeah.
Is this more important than that? And they're figuring out how to try and squeeze every last drop. But I'm telling you, as soon as more people and more fear and panic is around the world, it's going to be a no-brainer.
I know, Scott, and obviously we've let it be known that the health of the world is obviously more important than football. But I guess, and is why we're going to keep banging out the podcast, is that in times where spirits are low, in times when people are panicking, football is a release, and even when people's lives are a bit rubbish, I know from the past, when times get rough, there's always United. There's always United to cheer you up at the weekend. And I guess when that's taken away as well, it's one of the ways that humans have a release, once or twice a week. And when that goes as well, it really, the worry is that people's mental health as well as their physical health starts going down the pan as well. So, that's why I guess football is such a discussion at the moment.
Yeah, but can you imagine a few of the United players get this virus because we just miss football? Yeah, let's make them keep playing, and then a few of the United players get it, and God forbid one of them dies or gets seriously injured. I mean, it's when these players, they're not just people to the clubs, right? They're assets, and they're £100 million assets, and you can't risk that. And they're people as well. You can't risk them to this thing.
I totally agree, and Wayne Rooney even said that we shouldn't have been carrying on playing when we did. He was made to play, and he said, "Look, if I give it to one of my family or something, then I'll never forgive the authorities." So that gave an insight into, and these footballers have got young families. They have got parents, grandparents who are above 70 and who are more at risk than a fit footballer. So look, I totally get your point. I'm just saying that when spirits are down, often people look for a release, and unfortunately, everything is just gone down, isn't it?
Yeah, this is unlike anything we've ever seen before, and some measures are going to have to be taken that have never been taken before. And if cancelling the season to keep everyone safe for the long-term health of everyone and long-term future of sport and just mankind, then things. And if it takes the Scousers to be whinging for the rest of time because the chance of winning their first title gets taken away, then that's just the silver lining of the cloud.
Absolutely, and I can't disagree. Everyone's health is more important, of course. We know that. We'll end on a lighter note anyway. Have a little laugh. Have you seen the latest Adidas leak for the home kit?
Have I seen it? I was want to send it to you. Give me a break.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah, let's put that up on the Instagram later, and everyone can add their comments.
Like I said to you, Scott, I think I can't believe they're going to have that pattern all over the shirt. I hope. Well, I don't even want that pattern anywhere near the shirt, but I hope it's just going to be down the side or just on the shoulders, sleeves.
I mean, it's a nice training kit. To be fair,
yeah,
it's an all right training kit. But having to look at that every week, yeah, get rid of it.
I thought after the last few deliveries that Adidas have given us, they were going to give us a nice traditional, nice United kit, and now they're talking about white socks instead of black, and this thing with this just yellow and black stuff all over it.
Yeah,
crackers.
Yeah, it's I'm lost for words with that. I thought you say we're going to end on a positive note.
I was going to have a little giggle about it. At least it's not Dazzle Camo.
It's going to be as well, right? Bloody going from the frying pan to the fire. Going to be unwatchable home or away. I already have to watch half the games in America on mute because the commentary is insufferable. So, I mean, I don't know what we're going to have to do if we're going to start going around with red and gold and black shirts.
Okay, we will end on a good note. Did you enjoy Steve McManaman's commentary on the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game?
That was one game I had to watch on mute because he was sitting with Ian Darke, and I just can't listen to Ian Darke. He gets me so frustrated. I had to watch the whole game on mute.
Oh, but it was great hearing him slowly understand that Liverpool were going out, and his little heart was breaking. There will be no treble. There will be no double for Liverpool. And there may be no title as well.
Maybe no single.
Anyway, thanks for joining us again. Remember to follow our Instagram at United100 Podcast and subscribe on your favourite podcast platform too. Keep your chins up in these strange times, and we'll be back with an Eric Cantona special later in the week. Make sure you tune in. Thanks for your company, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ciao.